sometimes within your application, you may have a reason to store and retrieve small amounts of data on the device. How can we make use of the HTML5's support for local storage to be able to store and retrieve small amounts of data within our Ionic application and in general within any Angular application? That is what we will discuss in this lecture. The HTML5 standard supports local storage. So if your browser implements local storage support, then the browsers will support the local storage using a simple key value pair approach called local storage. Now, if you need to access that within your application, then this is attached to the browser window. You can access that within your code by calling window.localStorage. And if you supply a key, then you can store the corresponding value and also be able to retrieve the value by using the key. The local storage only supports storage of strings. So how do you store JavaScript objects within your local storage? There is a fairly straightforward way of doing this. What we do if we need to store JavaScript objects is to first convert the JavaScript object into a corresponding JSON string, and then we will store the JSON string. When we retrieve the JSON string, then the JSON string will be converted back to the JavaScript object before being made available to your JavaScript code. Let's look at how we can leverage this within Angular to store and retrieve data within our application. Within Angular, we can easily implement a simple local storage service as shown in the code here. Now, within Angular, you have access to the browser window by calling the window service. So when you call the window, then on window, you can call local storage. So using that approach, we can easily design a simple local storage service as shown in the code here. So here I have implemented a factory called local storage. Inside the factory, I support 4 different methods. Store, which allows me to store a single value into my local storage. Then get, which allows me to retrieve the stored value using the key that I have used to store the value. In this particular case, I also support the approach for a default value. In case you are unable to find the value that you're looking for in your local storage, you can supply a default value so that your code will be more simpler to handle errors. Similarly, you can also store and retrieve JavaScript objects. Now, as I mentioned in the previous slide, to store a JavaScript object, you need to first convert that into a JSON string. So that is exactly what we are doing here. We are using the JSON stringify method to convert the JavaScript object into a JSON string before storing that in your local storage. When you retrieve that from the local storage, you are then converting the JSON string back to the JavaScript object by parsing the JSON string and returning that value. We can also supply a default value which will be returned in case you do not find the value that you're looking for. We'll now move on to the next exercise, where we will make use of the local storage service that we just saw in the previous slide. We will implement that local storage service and then use that local storage service in order to remember the user information within our application, Ionic application that we have been designing so far.